Hello everybody, today we'll be solving a probability question. So here we have a standard test like SAT, AST, or MCAT use multiple choice questions, each with 5 possible answers, A, B, C, D, E. Assume that you guess the answers of the first 3 questions. Find the probability that the first 2 guesses are wrong and the third is correct. So let's see. The first 2 are wrong. If we let W be the wrong answer and C would be the correct answer. So the probability that the first 2 are wrong and the third is correct would be PWWC, right? So the first is wrong, the second is wrong, and the third is correct. Now, answering the first 2 questions wrong and the third one correct are all independent events, because answering the first one correctly or incorrectly does not affect the probability of answering the second one correctly or incorrectly. The same thing with the third. So they are all independent events. Now remember, if you have A, B are independent events, how do we find the probability of A and B? The probability of A and B, that's the probability of A times the probability of B, right? So A and B are independent events. Well, in this case, that's what we have here. Probability of answering the first wrong and the second wrong and the third correct. So this is the same as saying the probability of the first wrong, right? So if you want me to do this, first wrong and the second wrong and the third correct. Now, since all of these are independent events, that means the probability that the first is wrong, or I can write it PW, that's the first is wrong, times probability that the second is wrong, times the probability that the third is correct. Now recall, we have 5 possible answers. One of them can be correct and the others are wrong. So what's the probability of a wrong answer? Well, 4 of them are wrong. 4 out of how many? 5 possible answers. Times probability of the second wrong, also have 4 possible answers. 4 possible answers are wrong. 4 answers are wrong out of 5. Now the probability of correct, one of them is correct, so it's 1 out of 5. So the probability that you have the first 2 guesses are wrong, the third is correct, you just multiply, nothing to simplify here. 4 times 4 is 16, 16 times 1 is 16, over 5 times 5, 25, 25 times 5 is 125. You can, if you want, leave the answer like this. However, I would recommend you would write this in decimal, as this is not a meaningful answer. So if you use your calculator, that's 0.128. That is the probability that the first 2 guesses are wrong and the third one is correct. Now, what if I ask you to give me a list of different possible arrangements of 2 wrong answers and 1 correct? So what are the possible arrangements? Of 2 wrong answers, of 2 wrong and 1 correct. Well, it's possible. We have the first one, that's what we have, that's what we did. The first 2 wrong, the third is correct. It can be the first wrong, the second one is correct, the third is wrong. And it can be the first correct, the second wrong, the third wrong. These are all the possible arrangements. Now, what if I ask you to find the probability of each entry? We just found the first one. So it's going to be the same to both of them, because you're going to multiply the same numbers, just in different orders. So the probability of each entry here is equal to the same on here. So probability of WWC is equal to the probability of WCW is equal to the probability of CWW, which is 0.128. If you're not sure and you want a little convincing, I can try this one. This one is different than the one we have. So what's the probability that the first wrong, the second correct, the third wrong? Let's go ahead and do this. That's the probability that the first is wrong times the probability that the second is correct times the probability that the third is wrong. The probability that it's wrong, remember, 4 out of the 5 questions are wrong. 1 out of the 5 question is correct. 4 out of the 5 question is wrong. And if you notice, we're going to get the same answers. You're going to have to multiply them. 4 times 1 times 4, that's 16. 5 times 5 times 5, that's 125, which is going to be the same answer, 0.128. I hope you found this helpful. All right, guys, see you next video. Bye-bye.